Welcome to The Table, a podcast where we share real stories, struggles, and victories as we walk together in faith. This week, I am sitting down with Jenna to catch up, hear a little bit about what's going on in her life, and talk about what she has planned in the future. I hope that you would gather around her and help lift her in prayer as she goes through this season that they are in right now. Wherever you're listening, if you would follow or subscribe, that helps us share the podcast with other people. And of course, follow us on social media as well to see updates about the podcast or things happening and coming in the future. So let's get into it and join me for this conversation with Jenna. Hi, Jenna.
Hey,
Welcome back to the table. It's been a minute since we've seen your face here, and I'm excited to get to sit down and talk with you a little bit, just get some updates about what's been going on and all the things. How are you? How are
we're
the
doing
Johnsons?
we're doing well.
Yeah, good. Have
Yep.
you kicked off summer with a bang?
We're just continuing all the things.
Yeah, sports, trips. It sounds like now that you have teenagers, you got other things like their jobs and the things they're committed to that you're trying to juggle. So sounds like a really busy season. I know that our listeners know that you have not been on the podcast for the last little bit. So I just wanted to get together to give you an opportunity to share what you want to share and then kind of talk about what the podcast is going to look like moving forward. So first, do you want to just kind of share a little bit about what's been going on with you and your family?
Sure. Let's see. Back in March, early March, I had a Thursday where I was driving my kiddos to their allergy appointments. And as I was driving, I just felt like something in my eye, I felt like my contact was no longer compatible with my eye. I just had a sharp pain, but I could not, while I was driving, I was trying to get that contact out and it would not come out. And it kind of worried me. And Ezra got a little bit worried. He's our 8-year-old. And he said, Mommy, do you need to pull over? And I said, No, let's just get there and then I'll worry about it in a mirror so I can see what I'm dealing with.
Yeah.
So when we got there, I tried everything to get that contact out. My eye just kept burning and I got the contact out. And for the next 3 days, it continued to bother me. So on Sunday morning, we went to church. I taught Sunday school. And after church, instead of going to lunch, I just felt like, before we leave for spring break this afternoon, let me run by Little Clinic. Let's run by Little Clinic and see what they have to say. So I went
Hmm.
into a Little Clinic. She did do a check, and I had a corneal abrasion. I had cut my eye in the process of getting that contact out, but I had a small little rash. Actually, it didn't even look like a rash. It just looked like a red circle above my eye, and it was tiny, like the size of a dime. And she said, Is that spot bothering you? And I said, No. And she said, Well, I might be wrong, but if I'm right, I want to take the precaution to help you through this. I think you might be getting shingles. And I hadn't not ever thought of shingles ever. I didn't know. I am only in my
Yeah.
40s. I did not know that was a thing people our age, my age, could get. And I hoped she was wrong, but she wanted me to have the medication since we were going out of town to go
Yeah.
on and start it if she was right. And so I started it. We made the decision after talking to her to just wait to leave until the next day. And the next morning she had advised me to go see an ophthalmologist, and I went that next morning at 7:30 to an ophthalmologist, and they looked at it and said that my eye was clear, that this could just be a rash and not shingles, and that I was free to go on our trip. So I drove us on our spring break trip that Monday. And by that evening, we knew that this was getting serious. A rash broke out all across my eye, above my eyebrow, my forehead. My ear was really bothering me. I had my lymph nodes, which we didn't realize at the time. We're trying to fight all of this off. So my lymph node here and in my right down here had swollen up like gumballs. They were huge. So I was in a lot of pain that night. But thankfully, we were on spring break and I wasn't having to fix food for everybody. We were,
Yeah.
going to get food, and I was able to have the medication that the doctor had sent me just by some she thought she might be right. And thankfully, she caught it early. We're still not sure if that happening in my eye, with my contact, if that was the start of shingles, if that was my indication. But I never got all the things that they said that you can get with shingles. The medicine that I was on was able to prevent that. However, it went on for a long time. The pain that you get from shingles is unlike anything I have ever experienced. And the only way I could explain it to Brian when he was asking, like, what do you mean? What are you saying? What does it feel like?
Mhm.
And I was like, I would rather have children than have this pain. It was,
Yeah, like birth a kid.
I would much rather go through that
Mhm.
than this unending feels like lightning through your face feelings. It went on and on and on. And as it progressed, I didn't get as bad as it could have gotten. However, I had to stay in contact with both my neurologist because it affects you know, I was having headaches. And then I had to see, while we were on spring break, I had to go see another eye doctor there because I woke up one morning with my eye completely swollen shut. And we could tell that there was redness in my eye that had not been there. And she said that it had reached my eye, which completely changed the trajectory of things because at that point I had to come, once the break was over, I had to come home and see my ophthalmologist again. I had to get on right eye drops and all the right things. And I also had to see infectious disease and still have to see infectious disease, that nice little name for a doctor that's supposed to help. Um,
Mhm.
so it's been a long journey. It's 2 months later, and I'm still dealing with, they've now diagnosed me with the PHN, which is post herpetic neuralgia, where I have tingling and numbness and shooting pain at times. And it's taken a lot out of me. I thought last year was hard with my husband having a brain hemorrhage, and then hold your
Yeah.
horses. Let's do something else hard again this year. It's just different when it's mom.
Yeah.
When mom's down, I mean, not that it wasn't awful when Brian was down, but I'm here all day, every day. And when I don't feel my best, it's really hard for the house to be at its best.
Yeah, because life is still happening all around you, and especially this season that we're in right now. Thankfully, we're almost out of May when we're recording this. We're almost out of May, but it has been like Maycember. I feel like we have had 75,000 activities, so that's really hard too when mom is down during that
Hmm.
time. So you're feeling a little bit better now. What I mean, I know you guys, there were things you had to like step away from, pretty much everything you had to step away from that you were able to during that season. Do you want to talk about that?
Um, yeah, it was really hard to say no to things that I love doing.
Yeah.
It's really hard not being at all the things.
Yeah.
We prayed and tried to decide what are the things that we can let go, that I personally could let go of. What are the things that I
Yeah.
could miss? What could I do in order to not miss the things that matter to our children? Because they don't understand fully what I'm experiencing. And so I wanted to be present for them as much as I could. In the beginning, it was important to them, which made it important to me that I was at all of their soccer games. And I think I missed a few during that first week or so of being back home from spring break. I missed a few things, but I had to go to wearing glasses, and then I had to buy special sunglasses that would fit over my glasses just to be able to be out there because the sunlight and the wind were so painful for me during that time. And so I would sit in the car and park in a front parking spot and be able to watch them from a distance. But it also wore me out. I didn't realize that just doing a 1 hour event would take it out of me so much, and it still does. I noticed that
Yeah.
last night. My kids had their end of year soccer banquet, and I knew I wanted to be there. I wanted to paint the banners. I wanted to do the things to help the team to have this banquet. And once it was over last night, I was exhausted and had quite a bit of a headache just because it's still there and my body is still healing. I didn't realize that our nerves are, shingles is a nerve issue, and our nerves are so slow to heal. They said
Dale.
1 millimeter a day. And so if you think about how much was affected just for that small amount of time, I've just got a
Hmm.
ways to go. And so missing things was hard. Saying no to things is hard. Missing church was very hard for me, but I just knew I couldn't do it. And even when I went back 3 weeks later, it may have been 3 or 4 weeks. I think I missed 2 or 3 weeks of church. But when I went back, looking up at Brian in the pulpit, like the singing was fine, but looking up at Brian in the pulpit, I I was in so much pain I thought I was going to pass out because I didn't realize that all the lights that are on him would be so difficult for my vision and for the pain
Yeah.
that it caused. And so I really, that was a hard thing for me. That was really hard for me. So just getting back into things slowly, um, and even things that you want to do, sometimes you just have to say no. And that's been a hard lesson for me, even at my age of in the 40s. It's just, it's a learning process, is that sometimes the Lord slows you down, life slows you down, and you have to be okay with clinging and resting in Him.
Yeah, that is a really hard lesson. It's not fun either. Like it's hard to learn it, but it's also not an enjoyable process. At least in my experience, this certainly what you're describing does not sound fun. So, um, I can imagine that that's been really tricky. So, how can your community show up to support you guys? Like, what are some ways that we could show up and support you in this season?
They've been here, they have shown up, they've brought meals, they've called, they've texted, they've prayed. The bringing of meals was huge once we got home from spring break, and we didn't publicize this. It's not something we wanted
Yeah,
everybody to know about. We didn't put it out there just because it was something I was dealing with privately. I didn't want everybody to know. It is scary, and to think about it, it was scary if whether or not I was going to pass it to my children, if I was going to pass it to Brian. Like it was a scary few
yeah.
weeks there. Um, However, they showed up. They brought meals. Once I got home and we were no longer on vacation and eating out or bringing food in, you got home and all the dishes were sitting in, like I've got all these dishes to do, and I have to make the meals and worry about not touching my face and then touching their food. Like it was very stressful. And my friends just showed up, and they would bring meals, have meals delivered all that following week or two. I didn't have to make much of anything. And that seems like such a easy thing to say, but for me that was the biggest, like, tangible blessing, in that I didn't have to make the food for them. My friends made it for us. And sometimes we don't want to impose or step into
Yeah.
someone else's, we don't want to do that. But for me, that's how people helped. That right there is how my community showed up and showed out.
That's such a good example, and we talk about community all the time, so I think it's sweet to hear how your community supported you through that. And I certainly think that you have a bunch of people that will continue to pray for you, especially those people that maybe didn't know that you guys were going through this and that you were having these health issues. I'm sure that you're about to get a lot of prayers lifted on your behalf. So hopefully this community can rally around you in that way too. So what does it look like for you moving forward? What are your plans moving forward?
Interestingly enough, The doctors can't really give me a for sure timeline of what to expect, and all they can do is treat it like maintenance because I already have an autoimmune disorder or disease. I'm not really sure what they call those these days. Anyways, I'm immunocompromised, and so they really have a close watch on me because I already had a second outbreak of shingles. It started to break out on my neck, but thankfully I knew and could just up my maintenance dosage to no longer maintenance to full time needing um,
Mm-hmm.
more medication to try to keep it at bay. And it did. And I just
Praise
didn't,
God.
yeah, I just didn't know. At first, I thought it was a bug bite. And then I was like, Brian was the one who said, could this be shingles? I was like, good point. So I think moving forward, doctors can't really give you an explanation. Autoimmune disorders are so hard to deal with, anyways. And this is just kind of adding to that because they can't explain it and they don't know how long it'll take to heal, and the body will do what the body does. So I am on
Yeah.
maintenance dosages for now. And I would like to say that that's no big deal, but it is. It messes with you and it doesn't make you feel great all the time. But I'm thankful that I'm being watched closely and that we're close to meeting our deductible. uh,
Yes.
thanks to me this year.
That's a blessing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Way to
Uh,
go.
so it's just slow. And so looking ahead, it's really hard to look too far ahead. It's one
Yeah.
day at a time, one week at a time. We'll get through one thing as we get to it. But physically, for me, it's learning that I have to slow down. I can't say yes to everything and trying to take better care of the things that I can, trying to take care of the things that I can while I have the time.
Yeah. I think that's r- easier said than done. That's really hard. That's a lesson that I'm learning. That's a theme that's coming up in all these conversations too. Is like there's only grace for today. There's only enough bread for today. And I find myself worrying about where the bread's going to come from for next
Right.
week or next month, and so often. And so I think that's something everybody struggles with in lots of different areas. So I that's a hard place to be. But it sounds like you're in a good. You've accepted that, and you're learning that lesson a little quicker than I tend to learn it. So um, in light of that, you and I have had a conversation already, so I don't want our listeners to think that we're doing this like making these plans on the fly. But we've had a conversation. I think you've been really prayerful and thoughtful about what the podcast looks like moving forward and how you can be involved. And so, do you want to like share a little bit about what's on your heart and like where you're seeing your time going moving forward?
Well, I think it's really hard when the Lord called you to something and then you kind of have to walk away for it or walk
Yeah,
away from it. Sorry.
it's okay.
I just don't have the ache to be here right now because I have an ache for being well.
Yeah,
And that's really hard for me to accept or even admit out loud. I hope you can see that. Um, I have to be well, and I would prefer to be fully committed and clear-minded and headed moving forward when I come back. Um, and right now, that's just not where my health is. And so I told Catherine that I am always here to back her up. I am super prayerful. But at this moment, I just feel like I've got to step back and let Catherine take this where the Lord wants it to go. So I won't be here all the time. Obviously, Catherine's going to continue doing what she's been doing, a great job of welcoming guests and holding podcasts. That's not to say I won't be a guest here or there, but for the time being, I'm just going to take a little break to continue healing and let Catherine run with this. This was her calling from the get-go. I was just here to support her and to be an encouragement to her in any way that I was to you in any way that I was supposed to. And so I'm going to try to continue to do that just from a little distance.
Yeah, just a different place. Yeah. Same value, different place. I just want to say before we wrap up, this is a short episode. I so appreciate your decision. So I don't want you to feel any kind of way. I would rather you invest the energy that you have and the health that you have in your babies and in your husband and in those things that are the top priorities, and know that you are so loved here in this space too. And I'm just so appreciative for all the ways that you have supported this effort, this the podcast up until now, and I expect that you're going to continue to be prayerful and cheering us on just from a different seat. So thank you for the commitment, because it was quite a commitment. And for like a lot of things happened over the last however long we've been doing this, and you were just so committed to show up, even though those things were happening. And so I just want to say to you and everybody else how much I appreciate that and how I see that. And I'm just thankful for the time that we had together and that the Lord kind of worked this all out. So we won't be seeing you quite as much here, but you're still around and people can still check in on you and follow your family if they don't already, and keep up with the updates and what's happening with the Johnsons. The podcast will just look a little different moving forward. So, anything else that you want to share, Jenna, before we wrap up?
No, I just am grateful for the opportunity. It's been, and it will continue to be. I just have to focus on healing right now and don't have the extra space to be here because I think, truthfully, this is a big undertaking. Even though they just
Yeah,
come on and listen for 45 minutes or so, it's a big undertaking. And I don't think I realized that either. Just the prayerfulness that it took off, behind the scenes and the
yeah,
study and the commitment and time that it takes. And then your family's invested in it too. Whether
yeah.
other people see that or not, they are invested in this as well. And um, I hope to be back one day here with you, maybe at the end of summer or however long this healing takes. But I'm grateful for your understanding, and I would just like to um, champion you on and rally behind you and just say to keep doing what the Lord has called you to do. This was your calling from the get-go. You are prepared to do this, and I know that the Lord will lead you in the way that you should go as long as you cling to Him and honor Him in doing this.
Thanks, Jenna.
Thanks for coming to the table. We hope today's conversation encouraged you as you seek Jesus in the big moments and the little ones. Check out the show notes for any scripture, resources, whatever we talked about today. Feel free to share this episode, leave a comment, ask a question, or share your thoughts with us. Come back and join us again next week. We'll be right here. If you haven't already, go follow or subscribe wherever you listen and find us on socials to catch up if you don't have time to listen throughout the week, or just to find out what all the next episodes are about. Also, we know you have things to say, examples to share, wisdom to give, so look for opportunities this week to share with those around you or even with us. All right, we'll see you next time.